How to make the most effective comfrey root poultice compress for sprains and strains.
Comfrey really has a great reputation for dealing with strains and sprains and bruises and things of that nature. Now, most people will use the comfrey leaf, but I think that the comfrey root is much stronger, but the comfrey root needs to be did a little bit differently. Now, I've taken my strips of cloth. This is an old red t-shirt, and I put it into strips. I would use this size for maybe an ankle, and this smaller size for a wrist. And I've also taken my plastic trash bags and cut those into strips. Now, I just cannot tell you how hard it is to fighting with saran wrap that everybody tells you to wrap it with, and this is so much easier. Now, in the other video I showed you how I harvested my comfrey root, and then I cut it in really small pieces because comfrey is really hard when it dries. And then I powdered it up. Now I'm going to be using this size cup, so I put this much water into my pan, and then I added 2 tablespoons of comfrey root powder. Now usually with herbs you don't want to powder them up, you just want to chop them in small pieces. But to really extract the most properties from the comfrey root, I did powder them up. I've got them in my pan. Cover it with a lid, bring it to a boil, and let it simmer for 10 minutes. Okay, now you can see steam coming off of it, steamy hot. And you can see how thick it is. It's not super thin like a leaf tea is. And really before you can even use it, at this point you've really got to let it cool off for at least 5 minutes, because this is definitely way too hot to be putting on your skin. Okay, now when you're using the comfrey root powder, you don't want to try to strain it because it's just not going to strain very well. I mean, I guess you could leave it long enough, it might. If you were using chunks of comfrey, you could strain it, but when you're using the powder, you're just going to use it straight out of the pan. Okay, I've let this set for 5 minutes. I've left the lid on. Now I'm ready to take it off. Now with this comfrey root powder, it's really makes a thick, it's thick, and if you was to feel it, it really has a slimy feel to it. And it's really not going to strain very well. But I'm ready to put my cloth in it, and I need to touch it. And almost, since it still has the root powder in it, it really might be considered more of a poultice than it would be a compress. So I'm going to just kind of unwrap this and get it in there and get it saturated. It's messy, it's slippery. And I don't want to squeeze it out too much. You can feel all the grit on it. I'm just going to kind of wrap it up. This is a pretty messy job. I could do a lot better job, if I was doing it to somebody else and keep it a little messy. So it's still dripping a little bit. And then I'm going to apply my strip of plastic cloth to it. Okay, now what's going to be more effective is if I put some heat on it. But if I didn't want to do it at this point, I would just wrap it in another folded cloth, and that is going to keep the heat in. But like I said, I want this to be the most effective, so I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to take my heating pad and wrap it with the heating pad and let it set for 20 minutes. Then after the 20 minutes is up, I'm going to come back and I want to put some coat on it for 15 minutes. Now I could use one of these rice bags that you put in the freezer, wrap it like that, or they've got these little things like this. You could probably do that. But my preference is to use these freezer bags where it stays soft when you put them in the freezer, and wrap it in this. And any of these are going to stay cool for about 15 minutes. And you want to repeat this a minimum of 2 to 3 times during the day for it to really be effective. And I'm just going to keep my pan here. I can reheat it when I get ready to do it again.
Okay, now the heat is going to dilate the blood vessels, bringing in fresh new blood for repair. Then cold is forcing out the old blood and toxins. Heat once more brings in fresh new blood for repair. Cold is forcing out the old blood and toxins. Heat once more brings in the new blood. Cold forces out the old blood and toxins. Now, the first day of your injury, you don't want to apply heat at all. Only apply the compress cold. Let your comfort tea cool to room temperature to reduce inflammation. Apply cold packs throughout the day, 10 to 15 minutes at a time. Never put ice directly on the skin. Use a towel or cloth between the skin and the ice. Begin the hot and cold treatment the day after. And keeping your arm or leg elevated throughout the day will really help with the inflammation. Thank you so much for joining me today, and if you enjoy these videos, please like, subscribe, and share. We are a small family farm and we need your support to continue to make these videos and share natural healing remedies. Visit me at FamilyGuideToHerbs.com. Now my channel name on YouTube is Carolyn Gibson Herbalist.